Hey guys, how's it going? It's Calvin Raab. So when you go and get your MBA, one of the opportunities that you have is that you can concentrate in something, meaning you can take your normal MBA, but then you can specialize it and really focus on something that you are interested in or hoping to kind of get in that field and work in after you get your MBA. And different concentrations have different salaries oftentimes tied to them. You know, some make more than others. So in this video, I went over the different concentrations that are out there. I looked through their salaries, and I want to go over the top 10. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 10 highest paying MBA concentrations that you can go out and get. So let's get into it. Concentration number 10 is strategic management with a salary of around $122,000. And what you're going to be doing studying strategic management is you are going to be studying and preparing for your future job where you are going to be making decisions for a company that will help them reach their goals. So oftentimes here you will meet with different higher ups in the company. You will know what the goal of the company is, and your job is to implement different strategies and make different decisions that will help them reach that goal. So you know where the company wants to be, and your job is to get them to that point. So you're going to implement different plans, maybe different programs, and set up and just be a decision maker where all things are pointed to that company reaching that goal. And you're going to be studying a lot of different things, whether it's interpreting data or looking at the pros and cons of different decisions and knowing what the goals are and how to reach them. And this is a very important kind of field, and it pays so well because companies want to meet their goals, and it is your job to get them to that point. Coming in at number 9 is information technology, or just abbreviated IT, and this has the same salary of about $122,000. So what you're going to be doing in this field and what you're going to be studying is a lot of things revolving around computers and data. So this is going to have a lot to do with crunching big data, understanding data, and knowing how it can help the company. So you're going to be focusing on how to set up different systems and create different programs that not only capture the data, but also interpret it. And it's your job then to oftentimes present that data to different managers and higher ups about, what it's looking like, what the state is of this particular whatever you were researching. And off of that, you can suggest different ideas of what they can do. And this is a very important position because oftentimes companies have and collect a lot of data, but don't really know how to break it down. It comes in really messy, and it's your job. You learn about organizing that data. And you can, once you take it, you can move it down into kind of bite-sized pieces that are easily explainable to other people. Concentration number 8 is marketing, with a salary of about $123,000. Now, I don't think I need to explain too much about what marketing is, but in this concentration, you'll be studying how to market different products to individuals. You'll probably learn a lot about the psychology elements to it. You'll do a lot of different case studies and research on prior marketing campaigns, what work, what doesn't work, and this is obviously important to companies because their product is not going to sell if their product does not get in the face of their clientele and their customers. So it is your job to become an expert on that and just be in charge of all things marketing for a specific company. Coming in at number 7 is finance, with a salary of about $130,000 after you get this concentration with your MBA. And what finance is you are just now going to be really focusing your MBA on finance. So this can be things ranging from even some corporate finance, but mainly just to financial industries, financial markets, understanding things like Forex, understanding the stock market, understanding different investments and different asset classes, and really having a big understanding of how it all works. And then you can go and work for any company that is in really any company has a financial side to them. So you'll be in charge of oftentimes the investments. You'll learn a lot of analytics and a lot of analysis here. You could go into maybe an investment banking side of things because you now understand how financial markets work, and you will just be really diving deep into that. Number 6 is business finance, and this is the same salary as finance at $130,000 or around $130,000. Now, your first thought may be like, all right, what's the difference between finance and business finance? And there are small little kind of intricate differences, although a lot of them will be the same. I imagine both of these concentrations will have a lot of overlapping studies. But as far as business finances, you're focusing much more on corporate finance as a whole. So how do companies run their finances? And you'll be studying about different systems and different programs that companies use to manage their finances, because certainly businesses handle their finances a lot different than kind of personal finance and different things like that. So whereas with a finance concentration, you may be focusing more on specific investments and different things like that. With business finance, you'll be focusing much more on the systems of which businesses use to run their finances. Although both of them will have overlapping kind of studies, as each of them, both kind of personal finance side of things and corporate finance, are both involved with investments and different things like that. But the nature in which the systems under each of them run on, those are slightly different. And if you're interested in getting into corporate finance and you know afterwards that you want to work for a big company, that even a financial institution, this may be something that you want to look into, and it is a concentration that pays quite a bit of money. Coming in at number 5 is a concentration in economics with a salary of around $132,000. So economics, when you really break it down, all it is it's the study of decision making when there are constraints in a specific market. That is economics at a very, very high level. And if you really want to dive deep into economics, that's what this concentration would do. So you would really learn about decision making, in different scenarios, what should happen. And if you do choose to get a economics concentration, you will be doing oftentimes a lot of math, a lot of statistics, and just everything that is needed in order to make decisions. And once you graduate with this concentration, businesses will hire you and oftentimes turn to you when there is a financial decision or really any decision at large, because oftentimes you'll have the tools and the knowledge necessary in order to make those decisions. So if you're interested in economics at all, this may be something that you want to look into. Coming in at number 4 is innovation management with a salary of around $134,000. Now, what innovation management does, and what this concentration is you will be focusing on studying innovation, and you will be hired to be the head and manage the innovation side of a company. So innovation being the company always progressing and taking that next step. You'll do a lot of research and studying trends in markets and how to find what is next, what's the next big thing. And then once you are at your future company, you'll be again looking at those trends, seeing, all right, this is the next big thing, and I think our company needs to do this in order to get that head start and beat out the competition. Because if a company does want to sustain itself through the years, it has to innovate, and you will be in charge of that innovation. Number 3 is corporate finance with a salary of around $138,000. So I now realize we have 3 that sound similar. We have finance, business finance, and this new corporate finance. And they're all somewhat different. I talked about how business finance is a little bit different from just general finance, and corporate finance is on its own in the standpoint where it really is different from everyone else is that it's now finance at a corporate level. So if I said like the word corporate, which I think I did when explaining business finances, I misspoke there. Just input the word business rather than corporate, because they do run separately. So where corporate finance kind of stands on its own and what differentiates it is if you are in a company or corporation and you are part of corporate finances, you're working on, and your main focus is with shareholders. So if you think of large publicly traded companies, the Amazons, the Microsofts, and just any other big company that you can think of, they run with different corporate finance people in charge, because the whole outlook there is to make sure your shareholders are happy, and you'll be just making sure you run your finances in such a way that it will help the stock price and different things like that. That's a little bit different from business finance, which we were talking about earlier, which doesn't necessarily have to mean large corporate, big entity shareholders shareholder side of things. If they're not a publicly traded company, they may be focusing more on AR, more on accounts receivable. What should you do with your cash? Because you now don't necessarily have the dividends and different things you have to pay out to shareholders and different things like that. So just the method of which and the system of which these finances kind of underpinning them are running on, whether it be publicly traded or not, whether it be a corporation or a small business, there are just a few little intricate differences. But that being said, all three, you can think of it now as a Venn diagram with all three. They all will have similar kind of studies, they are all involved with investing, just oftentimes different sides of it. So I do believe, kind of in my research when I was trying to figure out the exact differences between the two, it's hard because I think corporate finance is a subset of just business finances as a whole, and then you could probably argue that finance is the whole domain there. But these, if you just really want to get niche in the finance market because you know what you really want to do, then this may be something which you want to look into, and it does pay pretty well. Coming in at number 2 is entrepreneurship, with a salary for this concentration around $139,000. And you probably know what entrepreneurship is. It is starting a company. So in this concentration, you will be researching how to start a company. And oftentimes it will go deeper into that, different specifics within entrepreneurship. How can you build this company? How can you help it grow? And you don't have to necessarily start your own company afterwards, although I imagine most people do, and they obviously make pretty good money from it. But you can also go into a business, because you come with this entrepreneurial mindset. Just knowing how a company runs and how to start it can help you at a lot of startups. And I imagine that a lot of startups would look for MBA people with kind of entrepreneurial concentrations because they want to grow their business. And number 1 is a concentration in strategy, which will be making a salary of around $150,000 every single year. So what strategy is you are coming up with strategic ideas to get the company to reach its goals. So you are taking the resources and everything that the company has, and you are setting up actionable steps that the company can take in order to meet its goals. So you may find here that this sounds a lot like strategic management, and oftentimes they are used interchangeably, but there are specific differences. So strategic management is much more focused on the competition and coming up with different ideas and different goals that they can make, that they can hit to beat out their competition. Whereas strategy dives a little bit deeper into that, in that they are taking and creating actionable game plans for the company that they can meet their goals. So in this concentration, you'll be doing a lot of research on what other companies have done, different strategies that have been implemented before, and just a whole lot of research goes into, collecting the data, seeing what a company has in order to come up with different ideas. You definitely will do a lot of case studies because what works for one company may work for yours as well. And oftentimes it takes a lot of creativity in creating these strategies, because if it were obvious, then you probably wouldn't need a MBA concentration dedicated to it. And if it were easy, then it probably also wouldn't pay this much. So it's definitely something that is high paying. It is necessary because companies want to get to those goals that are set oftentimes by strategic management people and different things like that. They want to know how to get there. And that's what this concentration does. It helps you, it equips you with the tools in order to create these strategic plans to get the company where it wants to be. All right, so that will wrap it up. Those are 10 of the highest paying MBA concentrations. And if you're wondering where I got this, back in 2017, Poets and Quants actually released a whole, or was given information, and they kind of aggregated it and just published it online, made it public information with all the different concentrations, or a lot of them, and what their average salary was. So I'll leave a link to that. I highly recommend checking that out. It has a lot more information that goes into a lot more detail if you are deciding what your concentration is. So this was a lot of fun for me to make because I'm actually considering going and getting my MBA after I graduate. I'm right now an undergraduate at UCLA studying economics, and I am considering my MBA after I go and graduate. So it is nice to know just what the different options are and how much salary they are making. As you can see, these are very high paying positions if you consider that these averages compared to the national average of salary and different things like that. But that will wrap it up. So if you have any questions or comments or just general thoughts on this as a whole, or if there's other concentrations out there that you think could lead to better jobs, even higher paying jobs or anything like that, I would love it if you'd let me know in the comments below. So I look forward to talking to you guys down there, but that will wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. As always, my name is Calvin Raab, and here I make videos all about personal finance and jobs and school and different things like that. So if you're interested in that at all, I would love it if you would subscribe. But that will wrap it up, and thank you so much for watching. As always, my name is Calvin Raab, and I'll see you soon. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. So I'm going to move to the corner of your screen here. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you are going to see my most recent video. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see a video that YouTube and I each think that you would like. And if you haven't yet, you can hit my face right here and subscribe. As always, my name is Calvin Raab, and I'll see you soon.